I grew up in New Jersey in a small town called Lodi. Went to grammar school there, went to middle school there, went to a high school called Bergen Catholic. Believe it or not, it was an all-boys Catholic high school. And I started smoking at a very young age, 16 years old. And I'm not sure if that was because of my mother who smoked, or my father who smoked, or Nana who smoked. Pretty much all of my relatives around me smoked. And I'm sure that influenced me to become a smoker at a very, very young age. Smoking was something that I liked to do. I smoked after something good happened. I smoked after something bad happened. I smoked, with friends, with family. I left New Jersey to go up to Rochester, New York, to attend Rochester Institute of Technology. And one of the things that I enjoyed as a hobby prior to vaping was nightclub DJing. And there in the DJ booth, it wasn't about smoking a pack of cigarettes a night. It was about smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a night. It was just something that I had to do while I was DJing. It was something that I had to do when I was getting the music ready for the gig. I can remember what my basement used to smell like, from just constantly smoking these cigarettes. And my father, he had a heart attack when he was 36 years old, which was very young. Thank God he's still with us today. But after he had the heart attack, it was constantly for me and for my brother and for my mother, when are you going to quit smoking? When are you going to quit smoking? When are you going to quit smoking? So I knew, especially with a history of heart issues in the family, that I had to quit smoking. I had to do something for myself. So I did. I quit smoking. And I used, believe it or not, lollipop sticks. That's the first way that I got off of smoking, because they behaved a lot like a cigarette. So I would use the lollipop stick, and no actual lollipop on the end, just the stick. And I would chew on the end of the stick, and the nasty little spitball, that was the ash. I would actually sit the stick in an ashtray. And I was able to use that method for a full year that I wasn't a smoker. And then Nana passed away. Okay, so my grandmother passed away, and I don't know if it was the stress of that or the emotion of that, but I literally went back to cigarettes the very, very next day as if I never quit at all. So the struggle was back, and the struggle was real. So then I tried some of the other methods. I tried the lollipop stick again. That didn't work. So I tried the patches, and I tried the gums, and I tried the pills. The pills worked really good for some really interesting dreams, but they did nothing to curb the smoking. So Dad's constantly on my back, when are you going to quit, when are you going to quit? And I heard about these electronic cigarettes. So I went online and I started to do some research. And I always thought it was really funny that I'm doing this research on this thing that's going to replace this thing. And I knew the cigarettes were going to kill me. I just wanted to make sure the electronic cigarettes weren't going to kill me sooner. So the research back then, it wasn't as in depth or as involved as the research that we have today. But what I read said, okay, let's try them. So I remember I ordered a really simple starter kit. I still have it, and that was kind of a proof of concept for me, just to see if this thing would be satisfying, if I could actually use this thing to switch away from cigarettes. And it was good. It was enjoyable. So I did some more research, and I settled on a Joy 510 kit. That was the first kit that I bought, and that was on July 7th, 2009, the thing that got me off of the real cigarettes and made me switch to electronic cigarettes, and that is where I've been ever since. So yeah, a big supporter of this entire effort, of this entire journey, of all of the time away from home has been my wife, Tricia. We've been married for 20 years now. We got married in '96. I love her to death, and I could not have done this without her. So there were definitely changes that were very, very noticeable in my own personal health. It wasn't months, if not weeks, before my sense of smell really came back. And I don't want to say came back, but definitely improved to the point where I could remember this very clearly, walking into the nightclub and taking a whiff and going, oh my God, it smells so bad in here. So much so to the point where I actually contacted the cleaning crew and I told them to step up their game a little bit. So that was definitely noticeable. A couple of the other things too, breath, my breath came back. I didn't get as winded as I did in the past. This one was a big one for me. After a night of DJing, after smoking the 2 packs of cigarettes, the next morning, that first full breath of the morning, it was riddled with pain. That's the best way I could describe it. There was a heaviness of the chest. There was pain on that first full breath. That would go away during the course of the day, but since vaping, that hasn't happened. But one of the most measurable things that I could think of was I take less sick days now. I have always been prone and susceptible to upper respiratory tract infections. Just ask mom, she'll tell you. But now, since I have been vaping, July 7, 2009, I haven't had a single upper respiratory tract infection since I made the switch to vaping. I attended Rochester Institute of Technology. I was in the Computer Engineering Technology program, which was 1/2 hardware, 1/2 software. And I got picked up as a co-op in my junior year. And the company that I went on co-op with liked what I did, so they did wind up hiring me full-time. And that was my career with that same company, although they changed names like 20 times. I was with that company up until the point where I left that industry to move into the vaping industry. When I first started vaping, it was really interesting back in those days because I would go to a party with my little electronic cigarette, and I would have no fun at the party with my little electronic cigarette because I spent all of my time explaining what it was. Everybody was so curious. Everybody was so fascinated by it. How does it work? Where do you get the liquids? Where can I get this? And they were as excited about it because it was so new as I was. So a lot of my friends and a lot of my family got interested in vaping as well. So what I would do is I would get these products, kind of test them out on myself, and I would send emails. And this is kind of how the whole review thing started. And I had a bunch of friends that I would send emails to. Hey, check out this tank. It works really, really well. Hey, check out this cartomizer. It works really, really well. So that's kind of where the whole review thing started. After the emails, I realized that maybe I could help out some more people because the information was a little bit sparse back then. So I started writing text reviews on the ECF, one of the biggest electronic cigarette forums out there. And then I said, okay, because I was kind of coming off of the whole nightclub DJing hobby, and I wanted to, continue with some of the entertaining aspect. So I made this funny little video, and I can remember it was an order from electronicsticks.com, and I had ordered some cartomizers, and I was kind of influenced by the likes of Grim Green back then, Scott, I Get You 69. And I saw the reviews that those folks were doing, and I said, well, you know what, let me just do something, but let me be funny about it. So I'll never forget, in this order from Electronic Sticks, with the cartomizers that I ordered, they also sent me a pen. It was just a pen with their logo on it. So I did a review on the pen as if it were a pen-style electronic cigarette. I was trying to get vapor out of it. I made a big joke out of it. And a couple of people commented to me, and they said, that was pretty funny. So I said, all right, let's continue with this. Let's continue with this. So I started doing very, very simple reviews, but then the products got more complicated. And I said, I can use the entertainer side of Phil Busardo along with the engineer side of Phil Busardo, and I could put those two things together and I could produce some really quality videos with some really good information for people, but kind of put it in a very, very approachable way with a sense of humor in there as well. So when I started doing these reviews, two things happened. Number one, they got real, okay, and number two, they got important, okay. So when they got real was when I made this transition. because I always said I was a low profile vapor and I just wanted to use small devices. I didn't want to use anything that looked like a science experiment. And this is back when cardo tanks came out. So I thought, well, you know, if I'm going to review, I got to look at a little bit of everything. So I'm going to have to take a look at these cardo tanks. So here I am walking around with this little stick battery and a giant cardo tank on top of it, and I said, this looks like a science experiment. But you know, that's when like reviewing became real for me. So when it became important to me was when I received the first email that said, "Hey Phil, you saved my life. I don't smoke anymore. Now I vape." And I was like, whoa. I mean, you know, that kind of put it into perspective for me. And I always say to this day, you know, don't blame me for that. I have no way of reaching through YouTube. I have no way of knocking the cigarette out of your hand. Give yourself all the credit for that. Maybe I just helped a little bit. But that's when I realized just how important what I was doing was. So the original idea behind tasteyourjuice.com was a place where I could put all of the information into one single place, right? So people could come and they could see the videos, they could see the photos. More important, if I had like an experience with the product after the review, I could do post-review follow-up on Taste Your Juice. But then, I mean, the site just kind of grew and blossomed from there. And I tried to make it an all-inclusive site, not only just with the reviews, but a lot of additional information on vaping as well. So I came up with this idea to create a line because I kind of took a look at what was going on in the industry and I identified a bit of a hole, okay? So I've been saying a long time that maybe the industry has lost its way a little bit when thinking about the vapor and not thinking about the smoker. So, you know, I saw a lot of lines coming out with like, you know, the flavor of the month or, you know, very, very high VG liquids. And I think that's great. I think it's great that there's a lot of variety out there. I think it's great that people are choosing how they decide to vape. But you know, there was that hole that I saw, and I thought maybe, you know, maybe I could create this line that would fill that hole and potentially help out a smoker in the process. The creation of the line has been quite the journey with a whole lot of miles in there as well. A really good friend of mine, Sean, invited me to go out and visit Flavor Art. Okay, so they're one of the major flavor providers for electronic cigarettes. So I did. I went to Italy, and it was one part to tour Flavor Art, but in the back of my mind too it was thinking about, is this the correct flavor company for my line? And what I saw impressed the hell out of me. The facility was amazing. The attention to detail was amazing. The people there were amazing. But what most impressed me about Flavor Art was their dedication to safety. I mean, they have the Clearstream project there, and they're dumping a boatload of money and time and research and energy into ensuring that their flavors are as safe as possible. And we're not talking about for food. We're talking about their flavors being as safe as possible for vaping, right? So that's what really made me decide on choosing Flavor Art as the flavoring company for the line. So I get back from Italy. And now I'm excited, okay? I'm more excited than ever than to come out with an e-liquid line, because I have a reputable company in Flavor Art. I've met with them. I have a personal relationship with them. I've toured the factory. I know what they're involved with research and safety. But now I need a manufacturer. And I've seen a lot of different manufacturing plants. But I was looking for something a little bit more, something more so than what I was getting with the other manufacturing plants. So once again, I asked Sean, I said, you know, who do you think? Who should I go to? Who should I talk with? And he recommended Molecule Labs. So I got in touch with, and he introduced me to Mike, and I said, I'd really like to come out there and see the facility. So I did. And in meeting Mike, in seeing the facility and meeting the other people involved, in seeing the level of professionalism and the additional services that they offered, I knew this was the right fit. I absolutely knew it was the right fit, and I'm glad I made the decision. So one of the really cool things about working with Molecule was that they invited me down to see everything and be a part of everything, right? So, I mean, I got to stand on the line, I got to see my bottles being filled, I got to see them come down the line and get labeled and get packaged by you know, all of the workers that they have there. I got to be involved with the QC process and really get in there and work with Mike and with William to make sure that the qualities were meeting my standards and certainly meeting their standards. So it was really cool to be part of the entire process, start to finish there. Yeah, I'm really excited with how the label came. I love the simple, clean, elegant look of it. I love the chrome look to the B. Which is actually a combination of a P and a B for my initials. You have the nicotine level clearly identified right under the B. The flavor names, again, very simple, very descriptive as to what the flavor actually is. Warning labels were really important to me and properly done. And something else on the bottle which was important to me too was the gauge. Okay, so, you know, if you are concerned with how much you're vaping, you can certainly see that by the use of the gauge, and I'm really happy with, you know, how Mike made that work for it. Okay, so now I've got my flavorings. I've got flavor art, and I've got my source or my raw materials to create flavors. And I've got Molecule Labs. So I've got my flavor company that I'm really excited to be working with. I've got Molecule Labs that I'm really excited to be working with. And I have a whole bunch of ideas, right? I've got these concepts for flavors. And I wanted the concepts and I wanted the flavors to be important to me, to speak to me, but, you know, to also kind of go along with the journey that I took when I made the transition. But the ingredients are just, they're raw materials, right? So we have a whole bunch of puzzle pieces, but we have to put these puzzle pieces together to make the full picture, right? And that's where I said, you know, Mike, I need your assistance here, because I just kind of got into doing a little DIYing myself. I put together a little lab in my basement, but I needed more experience there, right? And that's when Mike introduced me to William, who is the flavor artist at the company, at Molecule Labs. It was a very, very hands-on process, and it wasn't just William sending me liquids or recipe variations. It was me traveling to Molecule at least 3 times to actually sit down with William, get very, very hands-on with the development of the flavors, take part in the development of the flavors, you know, get in the lab to talk about quality control of the flavors, looking at, you know, different, you know, the nicotine levels, the clarity of the flavors. I mean, right to the tubes that we're going to be putting out, the amount of pressure that the tube can take before, you know, it breaks down, the seal breaks down. So it was an extremely hands-on process and kind of labor intensive. A lot of people ask me, well, how come you're not trying my liquid? Well, because I was totally into the development of my own flavors for the past year. I wished I had kept the number of bottles that William sent to me, and maybe even kept track of how much we vaped together, because it's a long process and it's not an easy process. I mean, we sat in the lab for hours on end, going through different variations of the liquids and trying to add this and take this away, until we finally got to a product that I'm super happy with, excited to have out there, and sincerely hope that people enjoy as well. And William and I, we got along pretty good for the most part, but we have a great relationship, so much so that I really wanted you guys to meet him, so I did bring him here to be part of this video. So I've got William, the flavorist from Molecule Labs. Thanks so much for being here and being a part of this.
Great to be here.
And being part of the entire process too. And by the way, it's not Will, it's not Bill, it's not Slick Willie, it is William.
William.
Stress
on the yum.
That's right. So do you hate me yet?
Yet, no, but this interview's not over. So.
So I mean, we've been at this for a year now. I mean, these flavors have been in development for a year. So I had a whole bunch of concepts and ideas, and we like really collaborated on putting these flavors together. I mean, you know, I had my small lab at the house, which is like nothing like the lab that you have here, and we went back and forth, and I was kind of blown away by the whole process and how long this all takes, right? Because it's not just put a whole bunch of flavors together and boom, you have a finished product, right?
No, it gets rather lengthy and in depth because you need the right amounts of percentages of flavors and whatnot.
Right.
It's not a matter of just adjusting one flavor in the mix, because if you adjust one flavor, obviously a lot more flavors are going to be coming through, right. A lot more ingredients are going to be coming through. So it is rather lengthy.
Right. And the whole steeping process really blew me away, because I was always under the impression where, like, when I got my liquids, I just vaped them up, right? I didn't care about the steeping thing, but it's really important. I mean, it's really important.
It's the same as when you were a child, or even now if your wife makes a soup. You know, the next day it gets better because all the molecules blend, they meld.
I say they get happy together.
Yeah, get happy together, that works.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, and this is part of what took the process so long, right? Because you would send me, you'd mix something, send it out a flavor for me to try. I would try it, and then I might not like it, and then you would say, wait a week.
Yeah. I think that's a huge part of it. Especially some of your flavors are so complex that you definitely have to give them a good 10-day wait time, cellar time as I call it. Right. So they do age and they do meld.
So let's talk about some of these flavors.
Certainly.
And I think we should start off with, I mean, the flavor that, although I am not much of a tobacco vapor anymore, the tobacco is really, really important to me, right? Because when I first started vaping, I wanted something that tasted the most like my cigarette.
Certainly.
Right? And, you know, I had discussions with you, and I had discussions with other people, and you should make it fancy, and you should make it this, and you should make it that. And I didn't want it to be any of those things, right? I wanted it to be something that resembled a cigarette, and I think we really nailed it, right? I mean, it's a slightly sweet, really enjoyable tobacco.
Yeah.
Right?
I get that comments quite a bit too, from people who are they just want a tobacco, and I turn them on to that, and they're just like, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
It's the closest say that you can get to a cigarette.
I mean, it even leaves the taste in your mouth and everything. I mean, it is exactly what I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So then, now what you may not know about me is that before I was a tobacco smoker, I was a menthol tobacco smoker.
I did not know that.
My mother was a menthol tobacco smoker, right? So, I mean, there's no way that I could put out a line with a tobacco and not include those folks who enjoy menthol cigarettes, right? So we've got mint tobacco.
Yeah. Well, I think anyone in their right mind, if they're going to do any type of tobacco line, they need, as you said, they need a mint tobacco.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And without saying.
It's called mint tobacco, but it's really, because you know how important it was to me to get that balance between menthol and mint correct. And I think it's just like a really refresh. I even called it a refreshing burst of mint and tobacco. It's just a really good combination, and it vapes like a menthol cigarette.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what's great about the Flavor Arts is some of the ingredient choices that they offer. I think it just really brought that together very well. Right.
So this next flavor was really important to me too, and that's the peach watermelon. Okay, mm-hmm. Because when I first started vaping, I had to have that tobacco, right? And then the two flavors that I discovered after tobacco, the two flavors that actually got me excited about flavors, were peach and watermelon, right? So I said, why not create a liquid that combines the two? Because when I vape too much peach, I get peached out. When I vape too much watermelon, I get watermeloned out, right? So we kind of put these together, and we've got like a really nice blend, but we also have a lot of additional fruits in here as well to kind of balance it out, right?
Yeah. And then we did finally settle on this peach watermelon, which I think is a great fruit flavor.
Yeah, I'm really jazzed with it. So then we go to a bakery, right? Because I guess that kind of tells a story too, because I started with the tobaccos. I love my fruit vapes, right? But I also like bakery vapes, right? So we came up with strawberry pastry, right? And it was important for me not to have another strawberry milk or a strawberry custard. I mean, it's, you know, it's been done a whole lot. So this one vapes very different. It is a pastry, right? I like, what I like most about it is that every time I vape it, I get something different, right? So sometimes I get like a strawberry pie, sometimes I get a strawberry cake, sometimes I get like a strawberry funnel cake, or even a strawberry cheesecake at times.
It covers all bases of your strawberry pastry, what you would find in a funnel cake, what you'd find in a, you know, maybe a donut, or
Right.
you know. So I think it really hit home with this. And you are right; it doesn't follow the strawberry custard notes,
No.
which I think this market definitely needed.
So it's a little different. I think it's a little different anyway. I also liked what we did with the flavor names. Okay, because and this is a great example. My mother comes over the house. She needs E-Liquid, right? So I said, dig through the box, right? Because I got a huge box of E-Liquid, and she'll look through and it's like, what does this taste like? Because it's not named for the flavor, right? So we kept the flavor names like really simple. We kept the flavor names on the bottles. So I mean, I don't have to have a flavor description. The name of the flavor itself describes what the flavor is. So the next flavor is the coconut vanilla yogurt, okay? And that one, again, goes back to the story. This is a flavor that I have been after literally for years, okay? I've talked to other people about it. I've asked people for it, and I came to you and gave you the idea of the flavor, okay? I love coconut vapes, but one of my biggest problems is when I vape coconut, and I've told you this before, it comes across like you're chewing on a coconut incense stick, right? You don't get that natural, creamy coconut, okay? And I also happen to love coconut vanilla yogurt. And I wanted to kind of put that into an e-liquid, and I think we nailed it. And, you know, for any other potential issues down the road, right, it was really important to me to keep all of the sweeteners out of the entire line, and we did it, right? That doesn't mean they don't taste good, because I think they taste really good.
It tastes great.
Right? But there's no sweeteners in them.
Yeah, and that's something, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something that I did put in the first round or two, and then we pulled it back, and I mean, I mean, you wouldn't even know there weren't any sweeteners in there.
Right.
I mean, it tastes so natural.
And I've had a couple people try the coconut vanilla yogurt, and then I say to them, there's no sweeteners in the liquid. They said, well, why is it sweet? And that's just from the flavorings. But anyway, we made a last minute decision. We made a last minute change, and we came up with this coffee flavor. Okay. And it was important for me to have this coffee flavor, and I'm glad we made the decision the way we did, because my wife likes coffee flavored vapes, right? My mother likes coffee flavored vapes, okay? And they both really like that flavor.
Fantastic.
And it's, you know, because you may not get the almond cream, even though I know that's what the base is, right? But just the way it works with the coffee, it's a very different kind of coffee vape. So, I mean, that's the line. And, you know, it was important for me to have the line, because I was thinking about, like, how I would call the line, right? And I started with, like, adult, and no, I don't think it's adult. And then I started to go down the mature route, and no, it's not mature. It's responsible, right? And I think that's the way I can describe the line. Responsible in the look, right? Responsible in the ingredients that are used. Responsible in, you know, the flavorings that were used, the manufacturing process. That was really important to me, that it was a responsible brand. And I think we got it. I really do. It's not just the bottles that we've got, right? So we've got a couple other formats, and this one I'm really excited about, which is the new tube. All right, so I find this to be like innovative, unique, different, right? But also functional.
Big time.
I mean, okay, so I'll be honest with you, I hate dripper bottles. I really do, because I always forget to tighten on the bottle.
Yeah.
And then it dumps over, and then the liquid pours out all over the place. You know, this, we do have a child safety cap on it, right? But if I put it down, the liquid doesn't come out, right? It's got a very, very narrow spout, so it's easy to fill tanks with. right? And then just by using it functionally, all the liquid comes out here, right? So it's good to the last drop.
Yeah.
Right?
Easy to carry in the pocket,
Easy
too.
to carry in the pocket, but also it's probably one of the best carrying methods for the liquids because we've got, I believe, 7 layers of pharmaceutical grade materials that protect the liquid like no other packaging out there right now, right? And then we also have the Von Earl, right? So the Von Earl, kind of a snap and go pod system, right? Really attractive for somebody who doesn't want a lot of the complexities that we've added to vaping. Something really simple that I could give to my mother or to my grandmother, and they could quickly wrap their head around it and have really great success making the transition into to vaping. So that's it. I mean, that's the line. We've got the 6 flavors, we got the dripper bottles, we've got the tubes, we've got the Von Earl pods, and I tell you what, I couldn't have done it without you. So
pleasure.
thank you very much, and I hope I wasn't too hard on you there.
We'll get back to you later about that.
Thanks so much, William.
You're welcome.
I was really excited to have William here. I mean, he was a huge part of the process. He had to deal with me on almost a daily basis, which isn't always the easiest thing to do. Just a great guy, super to work for. So yeah, I was really excited and happy that he could come out for this. I am extremely passionate. Anybody who knows me knows that I am extremely passionate about vaping and extremely passionate about helping people make the transition from traditional tobacco cigarettes to vaping. And that's why I did this line. That's why it's formulated the way it is. Really super easy to use in tanks, higher PG for a more satisfying throat hit, also the ability to carry flavors at lower flavor concentrates. This is a line for the smoker. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to create. That's where my passions lie, and I hope I've done that. I think I've done that. I believe I've done that with the help of Flavor Art, with the help of Molecule, with the help of William. It's a line designed to help people transition off of cigarettes into vaping, and also for the folks who still vape the way they used to smoke, the folks that like that experience, the experience that they get from a cigarette, only now they get it from vaping. It's a line for my mother. It's a line for my father. I wished I had something like this that I could give to him back when he was smoking his tobacco pipe. It's a line for my brother, for my wife. It's a line for all walks of life. It's a line for an older woman I saw walk into a vape shop in Florida with her walker, and she walked up to the counter and she bought her e-liquid and she bought her coils. It's a line that's very, very important to me. It's a responsible line, and I know I keep using the word responsible, but that word means a lot in this case. God knows this industry needs responsible right now, and I wanted this line to be responsible to myself. I wanted this line to be responsible to the industry, but most importantly, I wanted this line to be responsible to the consumer, and I sincerely hope that people enjoy and like this line as much as I do.